I'm your mother. I have the right, she said, after secretly siphoning $41,000 from my savings to cover my brother's debt. Can you even imagine your own mother stealing your entire life savings, then looking you in the eye and telling you it was family money to bail out your golden child brother? I thought I knew what betrayal felt like, but nothing prepared me for that day. My name is Lucas, and I'm 41 years old. For most of my adult life, I was the designated fixer in my family. Not for leaky pipes or flickering lights, though sometimes it felt like that. No, the constant emergency in our family was always money, and I was always the one patching things up. It started innocently enough when I was 26. A few hundred here for my mother, Linda's car payment. Then it became more. My brother Ryan needed 8 months' rent because he was between jobs. Dad's insurance ran out, leaving him with medical bills no one else seemed able to cover. Family vacations would get planned, and then, almost as an afterthought, I'd be informed of my fair share. And the thing is, I never said no. That's the curse of being dependable, isn't it? People stop asking. They just assume. Ryan, he's 3 years younger than me, and if there's one constant in our family, it's that he has always been the golden child. The high school athlete, the charmer, the one who could do no wrong, even when he was doing everything wrong. He bounced through 5 different jobs in 11 years, bought a truck he clearly couldn't afford, and married a woman, Lauren, who shared his taste for luxury. My parents, Linda and Mark, they just got softer with him, season after season. And I was always the one holding the financial pillow. 5 years ago, Ryan bought his house. I knew it was a stretch. His credit was weak, and he barely scraped together the down payment. But Linda was ecstatic. She called me that night, brimming with pride, telling me how Ryan was finally settling down, building equity, becoming a true grown-up. I congratulated him. I sent a housewarming gift. I did mention that I'd been renting the same small apartment for 6 years because I was too busy keeping everyone else afloat. What I really didn't tell anyone was that I'd started a separate savings account 3 years prior, a true emergency fund, a secret. I'd learned the hard way. If they knew the money was there, they'd find an emergency to spend it on. 20% of every paycheck religiously went into that account. No debit card, no checks, just a slow, steady build of security. $45,000. That number wasn't just money. It was a monument to every time I ate ramen so someone else could have steak. Every vacation I canceled because my family needed me. Every time I smiled while Ryan got a new gadget, and I wore the same coat for 4 winters. Linda had no idea I'd taken these precautions. My guard had gone up further after Mark tried to access an old joint account we'd forgotten about. That's when I enabled multi-factor authentication, biometric security, transfer limits, and a fraud alert set to trigger on anything over $600. That account felt bulletproof, or so I thought. Last Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. I'd just gotten home from work, tie loosened, ready for a peaceful evening. Then I saw Linda's car in the guest parking lot. She never just stopped by. We had Sunday dinners, planned visits, not impromptu intrusions. The second surprise was her grin when I opened the door. Not her usual warm welcome. This was different, triumphant, almost euphoric. She was holding a manila folder, cheap, slightly bowed. "I have something to show you," she announced, walking past me without asking. "You're going to be so proud of me." I slowly closed the door, a strange, heavy dread settling in my chest. She sat on my couch and patted the cushion next to her as if I were 10 years old. I remained standing. Then she opened the folder. Inside were bank statements. My bank statements. For a moment, my mind couldn't compute. Those were my account numbers, my balances, my emergency fund, laid bare as proof. "How did you get these?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Linda waved her hand dismissively. "That doesn't matter, sweetheart. What matters is I found a solution to Ryan's problem." My stomach plummeted. "What solution?" She pulled out another sheet of paper. A payment confirmation from yesterday. I deposited $41,000 of your savings to his mortgage company. Ryan's mortgage company. The room tilted. My legs gave out. I sat down. You took my money. I used family money to help family, Linda said, as if I was overreacting. Ryan was 3 months overdue on his mortgage. 3 months. They were starting foreclosure proceedings. He could have lost everything. I stared at the document, my account number, the sum. $45,000. Now it read $4,000. This was my emergency fund. And it was an emergency. My emergency. Your brother needs practical support, Lucas, not a budgeting lesson or a small loan, she continued, completely oblivious. He needed someone to step up and protect his home. So I did. Yes, it's your money, but you can rebuild the account. You're such a good saver. Ryan needs it right now. 20 replies fought to get out, but what actually came out was, you stole from me. Don't be stupid. You can't steal from your family. Besides, Ryan will repay you. I almost laughed. When? When he gets back on his feet. Once he gets this next promotion, he'll have enough money to pay you back with interest. Probably. My mother's eyes widened slightly. Lucas, I don't understand why you're being so difficult. Your brother was in trouble. We are family. Families help each other. I thought you'd be pleased that your money could be used for something good, instead of just sitting in an account collecting dust. Collecting dust? It was collecting security. It was building peace of mind. Now, she said, practically beaming, it's time to thank your brother. He is so relieved. You should have seen his face when I told him the mortgage was current. He almost cried. He kept saying how lucky he was to have a brother like you. I finally looked up at her. Really looked. She was smiling, genuinely proud of herself. She had taken $41,000 from me, without consent, without discussion, and she was sitting on my couch, expecting praise. How did you get access to my account? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. It has security protocols. For the first time, Linda looked a little nervous. Well, I might have kept some of your old documents from when you lived at home. Your social security card, your birth certificate, things like that. And I remembered you saying you used our old street address as a security answer once. It wasn't really that hard. Just a few phone calls and some forms. She had committed identity theft, fraud, multiple crimes. And she was describing it as if she'd done me a favor. You had no right. I had every right. I'm your mama. I raised you. I fed, clothed, and educated you. If anyone has the authority to decide what's best for this family, it's me. Something hot plunged into my chest. Not anger. Clarity. You'll thank me later, Linda said quietly, standing up and adjusting her clothes. You'll understand once you've had time to think rationally. I did it for my family. I smiled a cold, empty smile at her and the packet she'd placed on my coffee table. If you think so, I replied gently. She studied my face, trying to discern agreement or something else. She shrugged, kissed my forehead like I was a child, and then left. The door clicked shut. I sat there for 45 seconds. Then I picked up the phone. Aside from the hum of my refrigerator and computer, my apartment was silent. I sat at my kitchen table, the folder open beside me, and started documenting everything. Screenshots of my account history, photos of the payment confirmation, mental audio recordings of exactly what Linda said, timestamps, details, everything a lawyer would want. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was calculated theft, meticulously planned and executed. She'd kept my personal documents. She'd impersonated me. She'd bypassed security measures designed to prevent this very thing. But calling the bank immediately felt too reactive. If I reported this as fraud right now, Linda would get a lawyer. Ryan would circle the wagons. Mark would mediate, which always meant encouraging me to just drop it. I'd seen this pattern before. Problems were absorbed. Consequences were spread thin. And the people who created the problems learned nothing. Not this time. I spent an hour researching bank fraud and identity theft protocols. The information was clear. If I reported it right away, the bank would freeze everything, reverse the transaction, and probably file a report with law enforcement. Ryan's mortgage payment would bounce. He'd be right back where he started, only worse, with penalties and late fees. Linda would know exactly what I had done. There was a certain poetry in that immediate outcome, but it felt too simple. They would feel abused by the bureaucracy. They would blame the system rather than themselves. 4 years ago, after that incident with Mark and the old joint account, I had implemented a unique fraud prevention method. Any suspected activity triggered an automated review period. Transfers could be flagged and held for 72 hours before fully processing. I was paranoid back then, but now it was my safety net. I accessed my bank's app and went to the security settings. The fraud review process was still active. Linda's payment confirmation date indicated the transfer had happened yesterday afternoon. It was still within the review window. I called the bank's fraud prevention service. When the representative answered, I calmly stated I needed to report unauthorized access to my account. Her tone shifted instantly, professional and efficient. Then she asked what I wanted them to do. I want the transaction reversed and my account frozen. No one is to access it except me in person with photo identification. We can certainly do that, Mr. Hale, she replied. Given the amount, we will need to file a formal fraud report. Because it exceeds our threshold, legal action will likely be pursued. I paused. This was the nuclear option. Pure nuclear. Can we hold off on the law enforcement element for 36 hours? I asked. I'd like to address this internally first. The representative hesitated. I understand the sensitivity, but I need to be clear. If we reverse the transfer, we will notify the receiving institution. There will be fines and fees incurred. This will have immediate consequences. I understand, I said. Reverse it. I'll handle the rest. The reversal will happen within the hour. I hung up, looking at my phone. Within an hour, $41,000 would be back in my account. And Ryan's mortgage company would be notified that the payment had been blocked due to fraud. Linda's phone would ring. Ryan would panic, and they would both realize I hadn't just accepted what had happened. I looked at the clock. 5:51 p.m. I wondered how long it would take. I made dinner, warmed up leftover spaghetti, and ate it at my kitchen table, laptop open. It was just another Tuesday, except my phone lay beside my plate. I turned up the volume, checking it every few minutes. 6:22, nothing yet. 6:41, still quiet. At 7:05 it buzzed. A text from Linda. Call me when you get a chance. No urgency, no dread, just a casual demeanor that suggested she had no idea what was coming. I didn't react. My phone flashed her name at 7:12. I let it ring 5 times before answering. Thank God, Lucas. I've been trying to understand something. Her voice was perplexed. Not worried yet, just utterly baffled. What in the world is happening? It's the oddest thing. The mortgage company called about an hour ago to say there was a problem with the payment I made for Ryan. Something about it being reversible. I don't understand. I have the confirmation right here. I took a sip of coffee. That's strange. They're saying the payment was flagged as fraudulent and reversed, but that makes no sense. I have all the documentation. I followed the proper procedures. What procedures exactly? Linda paused. I used your account details to make the transaction. You know, we talked about this earlier. No, Linda, we didn't talk about anything. You told me what you'd already done. Yes, well, but the point is, the payment was made properly. So I don't understand why it would be reversed. Do you think it's a bank error? I put down my coffee cup. It's not an error. This time the pause was longer. What do you mean? I mean, I called the bank this afternoon to report the transaction as fraudulent, which it was. So they reversed it. The silence stretched so long, I almost checked to see if the call had disconnected. When Linda spoke again, her tone had completely changed. What have you done? I reported fraud. You accessed my account without authorization, using stolen personal information, and transferred funds without my permission. That's textbook fraud. The bank agreed. Lucas, this is ridiculous. I'm your mama and we are family. You can't accuse your own kin of fraud over a misunderstanding. This wasn't a misunderstanding. You knew exactly what you were doing. You planned it. You kept my documents. You impersonated me. Linda, these are crimes. Multiple crimes. I was helping your brother. With my money, without my consent. I heard movement on her end, footsteps, a door closing. When she spoke again, her voice was lower, tighter. Do you have any idea what you just did? Ryan's payment didn't clear. The mortgage company is imposing fines. He's about to lose his house because of you. He's likely to lose his home because he hasn't paid his mortgage in 3 months, and you committed fraud believing there would be no repercussions. This is absurd. You're willing to ruin your brother's life over money. I am willing to defend myself against theft, even if the perpetrator is my own mother. After everything we've done for you and what this family has given you, something inside me snapped. Not into rage, but into ice-cold clarity. What has this family given me, Linda? Was it actually given? Because from where I sit, I've given you thousands of dollars over the years. I've bailed Ryan out more times than I can count. I've paid Mark's medical expenses. I've paid for family trips to which I wasn't even invited. So what did I get? My mother thinking my bank account is community property. Meanwhile, my brother can't pay his own mortgage. That's not fair. Fair. I practically spat. Is it fair that Ryan got a new car for graduation and I got a card? Is it fair that you paid for his wedding while advising me to keep mine small? Was it fair that you took my $41,000 emergency fund, which I'd built for years, and gave it to him without even asking? Linda's voice cracked. I thought you would understand. I understand perfectly. You chose Ryan over me, again, like you always do. But this time, there will be consequences. Lucas, please. This is something we can't undo. Let me talk to the bank. No, the account is locked. Only I have access right now. You can't touch it. Ryan can't touch it. Nobody can. I heard another sound over the phone. A car door slamming. Linda took a sharp intake of breath. Ryan just pulled up. He got a call from the mortgage company. He's coming in. Lucas, you need to fix this right now. I'm not fixing anything. You broke it. You deal with it. I hung up. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the sheer adrenaline of finally speaking my truth. After years of swallowing words, they were finally out. My phone rang 4 minutes later. Ryan's number. I let it go to voicemail. He called right back. Again and again. The 5th time I answered. What the hell did you do? Ryan's voice was full of venom. I reported the fraud to my bank. You got my mortgage payment reversed. Do you have any idea what this is going to cost me? The fines alone are almost $3,000. And now they're accelerating my foreclosure process. I have 30 days instead of 90. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. This is my home, Lucas. My house. And you just ruined it because of what? You're mad at Mom. I'm not mad at Linda. I reported a crime. She took $41,000 from me. That is criminal theft. She was trying to help me with money that wasn't hers to give. I saved that money. I needed that money. She had no right to touch it. Ryan's laugh was harsh. What do you need the money for? You don't have kids. You don't own a house. You don't have a wife. You just sit in your condo hoarding money while the rest of us try to live real lives. Each phrase felt like a slap, but underneath it, I heard the confirmation of how my family truly saw me, not as a person with desires and goals, but as a resource to be used when convenient. You're right. I don't have those things. Would you like to know why? Because every time I save enough for a down payment, someone in my family has an emergency. I've spent 16 years as everyone's backup plan, and every time I try to defend myself, you call me selfish. Because you are selfish. This is family, Lucas. Families help each other. Ryan, help works both ways. Or at least it should. When was the last time you helped me? When was the last time you even asked if I needed something? Silence. That's what I thought. Linda said you almost cried when she told you the mortgage was paid. Did you cry because you were grateful? Or relieved that someone else had solved your problem? This is different. It isn't. It's the exact same pattern. You make choices you can't afford. Linda enables you. And I pay for it. Literally. The only difference this time is that I said no. You said no by committing fraud. I reported fraud. Linda accessed my account unlawfully. She used stolen documents. She impersonated me. These are crimes. The only reason she isn't in handcuffs right now is because I asked the bank to postpone the police report. That's what halted it. What? The bank wanted to file it immediately. I requested 36 hours to handle things internally. But if Linda tries anything else, that protection disappears. The cops get involved. She gets charged. You're bluffing. Call the bank. Ask about the fraud report filed this afternoon. See if I'm bluffing. More silence. I could hear breathing, hushed conversations in the background. So, what do you want? Money? An apology? I don't want anything from you. And I'm not repairing anything I didn't break. Then what's the point? Is this just to hurt us? The point is about limits. The point is about consequences. The point is that my money belongs to me and no one else gets to make decisions about it. Fine, keep your money, but you're also keeping the guilt when I lose my house. No, Ryan, that's on you. You were 3 months overdue on your mortgage. How did that happen? Where did your money go? He didn't respond. The truck, I muttered as the pieces clicked. You bought a new truck 7 months ago. $49,000, when your old one was perfectly fine. That's where your mortgage money went, wasn't it? My old truck had 152,000 miles and worked fine. You wanted a new one. You chose the new truck. When you couldn't afford both payments, you chose the truck. Now you want me to feel guilty for not rescuing you from your own actions. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You chose pride over duty. That's okay. But the consequences are yours, not mine. Linda's crying. She's weeping at the kitchen table. Linda's weeping because she got caught. You're really not going to help? I'm really not. Then we're done. You and I. After this, we're over. Something inside me calmed. Not sadness. Relief. Okay, said. Okay. That's all you need to say. What else is there? You've stated your position, clearly. I've stated mine plainly. We disagree on whether stealing from relatives is appropriate. That seems like a pretty fundamental distinction. Ryan hung up without another word. I sat there with my phone, waiting to feel something. Guilt, despair, fury. But all I felt was exhaustion, as if I'd been carrying a weight for years and had finally, gloriously let it go. My phone vibrated. A text from Mark. Your mother is very upset. Call me. I looked at the message. Mark never gets involved in family dramas. He was the peacekeeper, ensuring everything ran smoothly. I knew what calling him meant. He'd want to broker a compromise, a solution that would, inevitably, involve me giving Ryan money again. And I'd be right back where I started. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next day I called in sick to work. Not because I was physically ill, but because I needed time to process. My phone stayed off until midday. When I finally turned it on, it showed 42 missed calls, 26 text messages, and 5 voicemails. I didn't check any of them. Instead, I drove to the bank. Emily, the manager, greeted me with professional concern. I heard about it yesterday, Mr. Hale. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I need to make some changes to my account. We spent an hour going through everything. I closed the savings account where the theft occurred and opened a new one with different numbers. I increased the security levels. I removed any recovery contacts my family might have. I changed every security question to something only I would know. Emily looked at me with sadness. I hate that you have to do this, but I completely understand why. Has my mother tried to contact the bank? Emily hesitated. I can't discuss other customers, but I can assure you that any attempts to reverse the fraud reversal would be futile and would result in the police report we have on hold being filed. Good. I left the bank feeling lighter. My money was secure. Truly secure this time. My phone rang as I was driving home. An unknown number. Lucas Hale speaking. This is Sarah Mitchell from First National Mortgage. I'm calling regarding Ryan Hale's account. Our records show you as an authorized contact. I'm not an authorized contact. You have old information. I'm calling to discuss payment options for yesterday's return payment. I'm not discussing anything. The mortgage is Ryan's responsibility, not mine. I understand this is a delicate situation. However, I wanted to see if there might be a private arrangement to prevent foreclosure. So there it was. The mortgage company, desperate, calling anyone connected to Ryan. There's no arrangement. Ryan needs to handle this himself. Mr. Hale, your brother has 30 days before we proceed with foreclosure. If there's any way you could assist him, my family stole $41,000 from me to pay Ryan's mortgage. The bank rejected it as fraudulent. That's why you're calling. Now you're trying to shame me into willingly giving up money that I've already had taken from me. The answer is no. Don't call this number again. I hung up and blocked the number. That evening, Mark called. Lucas, we need to talk about this situation. About what you're doing to this family. What am I doing, Mark? Linda stole from me. She committed fraud. She made an error. It's an error to use too much salt in soup. This was calculated. She kept my documents, impersonated me, and committed a crime. Mark sighed. It's your family. You're wrong about the legalities. Families work through difficulties. I didn't make matters worse. I prevented a crime from having no consequences. Your mother is distraught. She hasn't eaten in 3 days. Then perhaps she shouldn't have stolen $41,000. The money would have just sat in your account. You weren't even using it. So there it was. The core belief. My money wasn't my money in their minds. That money represented my security, my safety net, my future. Just because I wasn't actively spending it didn't mean it was available for others to take. Nobody was taking. Your mother borrowed on Ryan's behalf without asking, without permission, and without a realistic repayment plan. That is taking. That is stealing. Silence. Then, quieter. What do you want me to say? Your mother was mistaken? Okay, she was wrong. But what's done is done. The question is, what do we do next? We do nothing. Linda deals with the consequences of her actions. Ryan deals with his. And I protect what is mine. If Ryan loses his house, he'll lose it. This isn't the end of the world. He can rent. He can downsize. He can make different choices. You sound incredibly cold. I sound finished. I've been the family banker for 16 years, and the one time I draw a line, I'm cold. I'm selfish. I'm wrecking the family. Do you hear how that sounds? Mark didn't respond immediately. His voice changed, sounding older, wearier. Linda wants to know if you'll come to Sunday dinner. No, Mark. I'm not sitting at a table pretending everything is fine when everyone thinks I'm the villain. If you want to have dinner with me, we can do it somewhere else. Just us. But I'm no longer doing family meals. Are you really willing to destroy this family for money? I am willing to defend myself against people who think my boundaries are negotiable. If something destroys the family, it probably wasn't that strong to begin with. Mark hung up without a goodbye. I stood in my kitchen, phone in hand, feeling the gravity of what had just occurred. I had effectively cut myself off from my family. I waited for guilt to strike. It didn't arrive. Instead, I felt space, freedom to breathe, relief from the constant anxiety of what disaster would strike next. I sat down at my laptop and finished something I'd been putting off for 4 years. I started looking for actual homes in my price range. The next morning, I called a realtor. For weeks later, I closed on a small townhouse. 3 bedrooms, a new kitchen, a small garden. It was mine. I didn't notify or invite my family. I didn't share photos. I moved in on a Saturday with the help of 2 coworkers who had become close friends. Sitting on my couch in my living room, that first night in my new home, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. My phone had been silent. Linda stopped calling daily. Ryan stopped texting. Even Mark had stopped reaching out. I knew what it meant. I'd been cut off, excommunicated for having boundaries, and I was fine with it, until 5 weeks later, when my doorbell rang on a Sunday afternoon. I looked through the peephole. Linda, alone. No folder this time, just her handbag and a tired expression. I almost didn't open the door, but curiosity won. How did you find me? I called your work and said I was your mother with an emergency. They gave me your new address. I made a mental note to report it to HR. What do you want? Can I come in? No. Linda flinched. Lucas, please. I just want to talk. We talked. You explained why you thought stealing from me was justified. I explained that it wasn't. There's nothing more to say. Ryan lost his house. I didn't react. They foreclosed 3 weeks ago. He and Lauren are staying with us now. It's incredibly crowded and cramped. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? She challenged. Because you don't sound sorry. Perhaps I was a little pleased. Not because Ryan was suffering, but because consequences had finally arrived. What would you like me to say, Linda? I told you what would happen. Ryan had options. He could have sold the truck. He could have worked more hours. He could have downsized. He chose not to. That's on him. He's your brother. He's a 34-year-old man trying to figure out his own life. Linda's eyes filled with tears. This time they looked real. When did you get so hard? You stole $41,000 from me and expected me to thank you. I came to apologize. That astonished me. Okay, I apologize. I apologize for accessing your account without your permission. I'm sorry I didn't ask. I'm sorry for justifying it by telling myself I was helping my family. The words were correct, but the delivery felt off. Rehearsed. Why now? Why apologize now? After 5 weeks of silence. Linda turned away. Because things are so bad at home. Ryan and Lauren are constantly fighting. Mark is stressed. The house is too small. And I hoped that if I apologized, you'd agree to help. There it was. Not a genuine apology, but a transaction. No, Linda. Please. I don't really care what you need. For 16 years I cared. I gave. I made sacrifices. And the moment I stopped, you all cut me off as if I hadn't mattered. Now things are difficult, and you suddenly remember I exist? That's not family, Linda. That's exploiting people. We're not exploiting you. Yes, you are. You always have been. And I'm done being exploited. I have my own life now. I own a house. My own plans, and they don't involve funding other people's choices. Linda's face stiffened. The sadness vanished. You've changed. No, I finally stopped pretending that what this family did to me was normal, acceptable, or loving. So that's it? You're just going to abandon us. I'm going to live my life. You're welcome to be a part of it, as long as you respect my boundaries. But if you can't, and all you want is access to my money, then yes, we're done. Linda looked at me for a long time. Then she turned and walked back to her car, saying nothing else. I closed the door and stood in my entryway, my hands trembling slightly, my pulse racing. I had just burned the last bridge, making it abundantly clear that there was no going back to the way things were. It felt both terrifying and liberating. 7 months later, I'm writing this from my home office, which I converted from the second bedroom. I've been promoted twice since separating from my family. It turns out, not constantly worrying about other people's problems really helps your focus at work. I haven't heard from Linda or Ryan in 6 months. Mark sends me quick, neutral texts occasionally, just to check if I'm still alive. I respond in kind. Last week, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Lauren, Ryan's wife. I don't know if you'll see this, but I wanted to let you know we're doing okay. Ryan got a better paying job. We're renting a small apartment. It's not the house, but it's ours. Maybe he needed to lose everything. He's different now, more responsible. Anyway, I thought you should know. I didn't respond, but I saved the message. Not because I wanted to reconcile, but because it reaffirmed a long-held belief. Consequences teach. Enabling doesn't. I'm dating someone now, a woman I met at a coffee shop. She doesn't know the full extent of my family issues, just that we're not close. She doesn't ask for specifics. She respects boundaries. It's refreshing. We're thinking about moving in together next year, maybe getting a dog, building our own life, not one borrowed, stolen, or given away to others who wouldn't appreciate it. That folder Linda brought me that day, I still have it. I keep it in a drawer as a reminder, not of what was stolen, but of what I got back. My dignity, my boundaries, my life, and $41,000 that will never fall into the wrong hands again. So I've shared my story. I'm curious, what would you have done in my place? Have any of you ever had to draw such a hard line with family? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts.